What a return of Premier League football that was, eh? Game week 17 is over and done with, and with that we had some pretty good matches. I can't say any results were shocking, but I did not predict them correctly. What's new there, eh? I guess after the World Cup, nothing changed. As was tradition before the World Cup, we shall look back at our predictions and then move on to predict Game week 18, Brentford versus Tottenham. I predicted 2-1 to Tottenham. It's actually 2-2, and Tottenham once again had to fight back from going 2 down. But this time they could not fully overcome Brentford. Brentford pounced on Tottenham in the first half and earned their 2-goal lead, but Tottenham fought back through Harry Kane and Højbjerg to salvage 2 goals, and then Kane almost scored the winner, but he hit the crossbar. That man can just not keep down his shots, can he? And then we move on to Southampton versus Brighton and Hove Albion. I predicted 2-0 to Brighton. It was actually 3-1, so similar margin, but it's a curious case of why Southampton employed Nathan Jones in the first place. Whatever the reason was, Southampton do not look any better under him than they did under Hasenhüttl. Arguably, they look a bit worse. Brighton were dominant throughout this match and deserved their win. I'm not sure why they hired Nathan Jones. He can only do it at Luton. That's just a fact. And then move on to Leicester versus Newcastle. I predicted 3-1 to Newcastle. It was actually 3-0. Newcastle picked up where they left off with another win. That man Almiron scored yet again, taking his side to 9 goals this season. I think he's on 10 if you include assists, which is kind of mad because he's never had this form before. So, you know, Eddie Howe's definitely doing something right. Leicester did look quite toothless in this match, to be fair, but this was a very hard Newcastle side to beat, so that's not really surprising. This has briefly lifted Newcastle to second in the league, and they're definitely going to be challenged for a place in Europe this season. Whether that's Champions League is yet to be seen, but they could do it, you know. They could do it. And now move on to Crystal Palace versus Fulham. I predicted 2-1 to Crystal Palace. It was actually 3-0 to Fulham. And something really needs to be said about Crystal Palace's attack, as it has recently been looking very lacklustre, and that problem was not worked on throughout the break. Fulham, on the other hand, were very much up for this match. And despite Palace, you know, coming down to 9 men, Fulham, you know, they scored 3 goals. Mitrovic was on fire. So yeah, it's not looking good for Crystal Palace. They really need to sort out their attacking issues, or it's going to be a long road for them. And then move on to Everton versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. I predicted a 2-2 draw. It very much nearly was a draw, but in the end it was 2-1 to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now this was a last grasp win for Wolves, which lifted them off the bottom of the league. They're now in 18th place. It was Ait Nuri that struck in the 90 plus 5th minute to take all 3 points. Honestly, if Everton just held out a little bit longer, they could have shared the points, but unfortunately for them, that just didn't happen. Things are not looking good for Everton. They really need to start picking up points if they want to survive another season in the Premier League. And then move on to the other Merseyside team. Yep, it's Aston Villa versus Liverpool. Now I predicted 3-2 to Liverpool, but it was actually just 3-1. Unai Emery's return to English football did not get off to the best start, as Liverpool ran riot at Villa Park. Liverpool are always going to be a tough side to face, and this match was no different. And even with Núñez up front, Liverpool managed to score goals, but that man is looking like an Andy Carroll regen, I swear to God. And then we move on to Arsenal versus West Ham United. Now I predicted 2-0 to Arsenal. It was actually 3-1. A lot of 3-1s this week. West Ham shockingly went ahead in this clash, but Arsenal fought back to show why they're top of the league. It was another brilliant performance from Arsenal, and they continue to show why they have a really good case for winning the league. And then we move on to Chelsea versus Bournemouth. Now I predicted 1-0 to Chelsea. It was actually 2-0. Chelsea started their climb up the table with an assured win over Bournemouth. Mount did what he couldn't do in Qatar and scored a brilliant goal. And that sealed Chelsea's win, really. Bournemouth were quite ineffective in their attacks and couldn't break down Chelsea. And then we move on to Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest. I predicted 3-1. It was actually 3-0. Manchester United played some brilliant football to ease past Nottingham Forest, who were without their first choice keeper Henderson. Despite losing, Forest gave a good account of themselves and looked really good in the second half. But it just wasn't enough to beat United. But again, a lot of teams are going to struggle to beat United this season, so we can't really complain. And finally, Leeds United versus Manchester City. I predicted 4-2 to Man City. It was actually 3-1. Man City put their loss to Brentford behind them with a solid win over Leeds. Haaland returned to the place he was born and became the quickest player to hit 20 goals in a season. And we're only 17 weeks in, so he could go crazy numbers for this season. Right, so those were my Game Week 17 predictions. I did not get a single one right, but we got some good football. It was entertaining to watch, so I guess we can take it. But moving on to that, very quickly actually, we've got Game Week 18. The matches are coming thick and fast at the moment, so yeah, it's going to be hard to keep up, but we'll try our best. And first off, we have West Ham United versus Brentford. Another London derby to kick off this week of Premier League football. And its two sides whose positions in the league would traditionally be switched. Brentford played some brilliant football in recent matches and will definitely give West Ham a good game. Both teams have not kept clean sheets in a while though, so it's almost certain we'll see a couple goals. Brentford have won their last two matches against the Hammers, and I honestly see that run continuing. I'm going to say 2-1 to Brentford. This West Ham side isn't looking too great at the moment, and they have been affected by a couple of injuries, mainly their goal scorers, which isn't great when you need to score goals to get points. And that's part of the reason why I can see him getting outplayed by Brentford here. Ivan Toney will be looking to continue his goal scoring run, and has probably put a bet on it knowing him. West Ham need to find a goal scorer from somewhere because it's not looking good at the moment. And move on to Liverpool versus Leicester City. The Foxes travel to Anfield before the Merseyside team get to use their new signing Gakpo. Even without the new boy though, Liverpool are looking like they'll salvage their season and begin to climb up the table. I mean, their season isn't really in disarray. I think they're sitting 6th, which, you know, it's not great for them, but yeah, they're probably going to finish in like 4th place or something. Like, they're definitely going to climb up the table. Both teams are nursing some injuries to their big players, and Leicester will be especially missing out here with their talisman Maddison. He's had a couple of issues with his knee, so depending on what's going on with that, he might miss this game. If he does, Leicester are going to be in big trouble. I'm going to say 2-0 to Liverpool. Leicester don't look like scoring goals at the moment, especially while Maddison's status is pretty unknown. If he plays, he could grab a goal, but I'm going to this match assuming that he's not going to be ready. Despite Nunez not seeming to be able to score a goal, Liverpool still have a wealth of goal scorers amongst them, and they've just added one to their ranks as well. So they should still be able to net, and at Anfield they are generally a really hard side to beat. And then move on to Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Manchester United. Wolves fought until the end in Merseyside and reaped the rewards, but Ten Hag's Manchester United is a very different beast to Everton. Marcus Rashford is currently in the form of his life, and I'm really happy for him because he's a brilliant footballer, and I would back him to score here too. Wolves under Lopetegui look good, and it's clear he's imprinted his style on them during the break, so they've got a really good chance to climb up the table, but this match should be a stumbling block for them. I'm going to say 3-0 to United. I think United will run out 3-0 winners again here. They play some really good football and cause a lot of problems for other sides, while still being able to score goals. Players like Rashford and Martial are looking brilliant as well, and should be ready to go again in the Midlands. Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace. This should be an interesting matchup as neither team are looking great at the moment. Palace are lacking any attacking sharpness while Bournemouth are leaking goals. Both sides will need some reinforcements during the winter window, so it'll be interesting to see what, if any, moves they make. This will be either team's best chance of getting a win on the board, and I think Bournemouth will be the ones to manage it. I'm going to say 1-0. Both teams aren't known for scoring goals, with both sides currently sitting at under 20 goals this season. Yeah, Holland has scored more goals than these two teams. It'll be a tight match, but I can see Bournemouth grabbing all 3 points, which could prove vital in the bigger picture. Crystal Palace could be in trouble. And then move on to Fulham versus Southampton. Now Southampton are not looking good, currently sitting bottom of the table, and unfortunately for them, travelling to a Fulham side which currently look pretty good and know where the back of the net is. Southampton are very leaky at the moment, and until their backline gets reinforced, I can see that continuing. Fulham have almost scored double the goals Southampton have, and will definitely cause the Saints some problems here. I'm going to say 3-1 to Fulham. Southampton may nab a goal like they did against Brighton, but will be thumped again by Fulham. I can see Mitrovic tearing apart this Southampton defence, so 3 goals could be a conservative prediction. It could very easily be more goals, especially from the Serbian. Southampton are definitely in trouble this season. I think they made the wrong call hiring Nathan Jones. Yeah, I'm not sure what they could do to save their season, honestly. You just gotta hope and pray it comes together, but I can't really see that happening, I'm afraid. And then move on to Manchester City versus Everton. The Citizens host a currently struggling Everton side, and it doesn't look like that struggle is going to get any easier for them. I've seen cries for Lampard to go, but with the core financial situation Everton find themselves in, I'm not sure that's possible, because they'll have to pay him a big comp package. Meanwhile, City are playing catch up with Arsenal and we're looking to claim another 3 points. And I think they will. I'm going to say 3-0 to City. This Everton side isn't known for its attacking output, and against City's defensive line, they're looking to get anything out of this game. This is a City side that score goals for fun, And with Haaland leading the Prem for goals, any team is in trouble when it comes up against them. Everton are in for another fight to stay up this season. Will it be successful? Who knows. And then move on to Newcastle United versus Leeds United. Leeds did not get nice with their recent clashes, and this trip to St James will be another tough challenge for them. This is a youthful Leeds side that boasts some really good young talent within its ranks, but they're facing a Newcastle side currently sitting third, who'll be aiming for Champions League football this season. The work both managers have done to their respective clubs is very admirable, but only one can come out on top, and I think Newcastle will be the ones to do it. I'm saying 3-1. I think Newcastle are currently the stronger side, and the way they're playing will be very hard to beat down. This is a Leeds side that will fight to the end, and their drive will be rewarded, but it will not be enough to meet the Magpies, I'm afraid. Newcastle play some brilliant football and are a joy to watch at the moment, and I think they're just going to be too much for Leeds. And then we move on to Brighton and Hove Albion versus Arsenal. Now this is a very juicy clash in my eyes, mostly because of Ty.
I hope Brighton get relegated.
Both sides are playing good football at the moment, especially under their respective managers, so it'll be a good game to watch. Brighton struggled to get 3 points for a while under De Zerbi, but have finally learnt how to win games. But unfortunately, this Arsenal side are insane, and currently look pretty unbeatable. We've seen that even if they go a goal behind, they will fight back to claim all 3 points, and that'll be no different here against Brighton. I'm going to say 2-1. Brighton will put up a good fight in this match, there's no doubt about that, and they'll try and make it tough for Arsenal. But this is an Arsenal side that are currently at the peak of their powers, and they're probably going to get stronger. They play some brilliant football and have brilliant talent throughout their squad. That's not to besmirch Brighton, but this Arsenal side is kind of crazy. And then move on to Sunday's clashes, and we start off with Tottenham Hotspur versus Aston Villa. Spurs host Villa with Emery looking to get his first win as Villa boss. Luckily for him, he'll be facing a Spurs side which love to go behind in games, but somehow they always salvage a point. If he can capitalise on this and keep Spurs at bay, he could very well get the 3 points he desires, but unfortunately for him, I'm going to have to say 3-2 to Spurs. I can't really see Villa keeping Spurs at bay, especially at home. I do suspect they will go ahead in this match though, but a Spurs fight back fueled by the home atmosphere will prevail, as it normally does. Emery has gotten Villa playing some better football, much better than they were playing under Gerrard, but some very tough opponents to welcome him back. It's not going to be an easy return. He will start picking up points, there's no doubt about that, but they've got some tough clashes in the way before they can start doing that. Yeah, I think Tottenham should win this match, but it's Tottenham, so you never know. And finally, we've got Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. Chelsea travel to the City Ground to face Nottingham Forest side, still stranded in the relegation zone. Now both Chelsea and Forest have been active in getting players for the upcoming winter window, and Forest already have one of their new players with them, in Scarpa, who should be eligible for this clash. He looks great, by the way. I've watched him playing in Brazil, I watched him playing against Valencia and Olympiacos. He looked pretty good. I'm excited to see what he can do in the Premier League. So this could mean two different sides from the one we've seen so far. Forest will also be sponsoring their new kit sponsor. It's a charity, so that's going to be nice to see. But on the football side of things, Chelsea handily dispatched Bournemouth and never really looked in trouble, while Nottingham Forest fell to Manchester United. But they gave a good accounting of themselves, especially in that second half, and you know what? At home, we're a different side. I've always had a gut feeling about this clash. I reckon 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. I think Forest can grab all 3 points here. There's no reason we shouldn't. Chelsea have been hit and miss this season, and Forest have caused multiple upsets at home, and I can see that repeating here. Chelsea are a good side, no doubt, with quality throughout, but Forest at home are a different side. It'll be a tough match for both, but I think Forest can just squeak past, and hopefully Scarpa makes his debut too. I do want to add that I watched Chelsea against Bournemouth, and they played really well against the Bournemouth side, but you've got to remember they were at Stamford Bridge. When you go away, it's different, and the atmosphere the City Ground produced can be the game changer, and I reckon we'll see it here. But those have been my Gameweek 18 predictions. Do they match up with any of your predictions? Do you think anything different will happen? If you do, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. And yeah, I've been O2GT, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Peace.